Welcome back to Super Recaps. Today I will recap an episode from the horror TV show called Into the Dark, Down. The episode is set on Valentine's Day, and our main character, Jenny Robbins, is currently in her office and deciding whether she should email her ex-fiancé, Derek, about her plan to go to New York to fix their relationship. But in the end, she deletes the email and decides to surprise him instead. Before leaving the office, she stuffs a handful of chocolates in her bag. On the other hand, our other main character, Guy, is getting ready in the bathroom. Jennifer and Guy are the last people remaining in the building, and they end up taking the same elevator. They indulge in some awkward small talk, and this is when Guy sees a drawing on the wall. The drawing depicts a man trapped in a box. All of a sudden, the elevator stops, and Jennifer starts panicking, but Guy stays calm and presses the emergency button, but it doesn't seem to work. So then he tries to force the elevator door open, but that doesn't work either. They also try to use the security cameras in the elevator for help, but they doubt anyone is watching the cameras right now. To make matters worse, they have no cell signal, and they'll probably be stuck in the elevator till Tuesday because it's going to be a long weekend since Monday is President's Day. Jennifer is especially stressed because she's going to miss her flight to New York, but they have no other option but to wait until someone saves. With nothing better to do, they start talking to each other, and Jennifer informs him that she's an account manager in return. Guy tells her that he is an accountant, and since he is new, he asks her if they've had issues with the elevator before. Jennifer replies with a simple no. 15 minutes pass, and Jennifer climbs onto Guy's shoulders to look for an opening on the roof of the elevator, but sadly, she doesn't find it. Another hour passes, and Jennifer realizes that going to New York is hopeless now, and she starts swearing in anger. Guy tries to cheer her up and manages to make her smile. She finally opens up to him, and they start talking properly this time. They seem to get along, and when Jennifer says she's thirsty, Guy gives her some water, and in return, she gives him some chocolate. Some more hours pass by, and now Jennifer desperately needs to use the bathroom. Guy offers his coat and tells her to relieve herself in it, but Jennifer is too embarrassed to do so. Then Guy tells her to use an empty thermos that's in her bag. While she relieves herself, Guy covers his ears to make it less embarrassing for her. In the next moment, Jennifer realizes that she missed her flight, but she decides to forget about it. She then goes to the drawing on the wall and draws a girl next to the boy who's trapped in a box. After that, they start playing a silly game to pass time, and this is when Guy starts talking about himself. He says that he is a workaholic and he feels like no one cares about him. He also tries engaging Jennifer in the conversation by asking about her trip to New York. Jennifer replies by saying that she had planned to surprise her ex, but it doesn't matter now because she doubts he even wanted to see her in the first place. Guy then brings the bottle of wine he was carrying and says that they should drink it together as both of them are sad. After drinking for a while, they spend some time drawing each other, and this is when they suddenly hear a sound coming from outside. But when they ask for help, no one replies. Frustrated, Jennifer inquires about the time, and Guy tells her it's 1 a.m. They continue drawing each other, and Guy admits that he has seen her around the office, but he didn't mention it because he didn't want her to think he was a stalker. He then says that he used to think she looked beautiful and kind, and now that he knows her personally, he can tell that his previous judgment was right. Jennifer gives him a little smile and says thank you. After that, they complete their drawing and reveal them to each other. Jennifer has drawn a funny version of him with a wine bottle, whereas Guy drew a beautiful picture of, and she loves it so much that she takes a picture of it and promises to make it her display picture once they're rescued. She also takes some pictures with Guy. After that, they start talking about their weirdest sexual encounters while they record themselves, and Jennifer says that the most memorable place she has got intimate with someone was in the library. It's now Guy's turn to share his experience, but he says he's never had an interesting experience, so Jennifer tells him to create a fake scenario instead. Guy then makes up a story about having an encounter with his colleague in his car, and as he narrates the story, he starts getting aroused. When Jennifer realizes this, he immediately apologizes as he doesn't want her to think he's a pervert. But when Jennifer tells him it's fine, he finds some confidence, so Guy quickly kisses. They start getting more and more intimate and end up having sexual intercourse. Both of them enjoy themselves, but when they are done, Guy confesses that he loves her, which completely turns Jennifer off. She puts on her clothes and informs him that this wasn't supposed to mean anything since she still plans to ask her ex-fiancé to get back, but Guy argues with her and says that she deserves better and that her ex doesn't even want her. This makes Jennifer mad, and she tells him to remember his place. In anger, she tells him to forget whatever occurred between them once they get out. Then she attempts to lighten the mood by telling him that at least he has a wild experience to talk about now. But Guy is annoyed because she rejected him, and he admits that he has been lying to her this whole time. His name isn't Guy, and he isn't even an accountant. In reality, he's just a security guard who has been stalking her through the camera. He also reveals that the elevator didn't get stuck. He just closed it with his key so that he could be with her without any interruption. But now, since he has realized she still doesn't love him, he uses the key and starts the elevator again. At first, Jennifer is relieved, but soon she comes to her senses and starts screaming at him. She tells him that she'll send him to jail for putting her through this. But because of that, Guy turns the elevator off again. Jennifer then rushes to turn it back on, and they get into a fight. During the struggle, Jennifer ends up accidentally breaking the key, which means that now they are stuck. In a complete rage, Jennifer hits Guy with her shoe, and he drops to the ground. She panics and goes to see if he's dead, but he suddenly wakes up and slams her head on the ground. She wakes up a few hours later, and Guy is there waiting for her. She wants to know his reason for trapping them both, and Guy reveals that this is the best way to get private time with a girl without any distraction. They were able to talk for hours without being disturbed, and he believes his plan succeeded because they didn't just talk, they even got intimate with each other. Jennifer tells him that he can't escape because someone will find them soon, but Guy is unbothered because he told the other guards that he'll work on the weekend, which means they won't be here until Tuesday. Guy then tells her that he doesn't want to go back to prison, so he has to kill her instead. Jennifer starts to panic after hearing that and calls him a monster, but Guy insists that he didn't do anything without her consent. Jennifer then argues back, saying that he has kidnapped her. This makes him angry, and he suddenly goes to her and holds her by the neck while telling her that he did not kidnap her. He calms down and decides to open the gift that Jennifer has bought for her ex. He opens the first package, which has a jacket inside it, and decides to wear it, noting that it fits him perfectly. Next, he opens another package, which turns out to be a cigar set. He takes out the lighter, he starts smoking the cigar and even offers it to her, but she ignores him. A little while later, Guy apologizes to her and tells her that he just gets a bit insane when he's angry. He then asks her to give him a second chance. After that, he starts getting frustrated and ends up breaking the light on the wall. This suddenly gives him an idea. Since the ceiling isn't screwed, he climbs up and easily pries it open. This is their chance to escape, so he asks Jennifer to let him stand on her shoulders so that he can get out and open the elevator from the outside. But Jennifer fools him and asks him to let her go first, and she even reassures him that she won't tell the police. Once she gets out from the ceiling, she flips him off and climbs up the ladder. While Jennifer is trying to open the door, Guy manages to use some clothes to pull himself on top of the elevator. He chases Jennifer and pulls her down with him before she can open the elevator door. Both of them fall back into the elevator and pass out. A few hours later, Jennifer wakes up before Guy, and she notices a sprinkler on top. She quickly uses the cigar to burn Guy's drawings so that the smoke from it can trigger the fire alarm. This is when Guy wakes up, and Jennifer quickly kicks him and ties him up with some clothes. At that moment, the sprinkler activates, and Jennifer is ecstatic because this means that the fire alarm has also been activated and the fire department has been alerted. Jennifer then threatens Guy with the scissors and forces him to reveal his crimes while she records, so Guy has no choice but to do as she says. He confesses that his real name is John Deacon, and he was once a rich man with a good job, but one day, he was drunk and crashed his car, which led to the death of his female co-worker who was in the car with him. He was sentenced to prison for 6 months, and after his release, it was impossible to find a good job, and that's why he became a security guard. And the reason he locked him in the elevator was so that he could get a taste of his old life again. After hearing this, Jennifer is speechless and can't help but cry. Some time passes by, and it's now Monday. This is when another security guard, Eddie, shows up with his girlfriend so that they can have some fun on the rooftop. He goes to the security desk and sees Jennifer stuck in the elevator on the camera. He uses an emergency communication and lets Jennifer know that he's coming to rescue her. Jennifer is relieved and doesn't realize that John is about to free his tied hand. Soon, Eddie opens the elevator door, but he needs to pull the elevator down before Jennifer can come out. and when Eddie isn't looking, John pulls Jennifer away and knocks her out. When Eddie hears John, he throws the elevator key at him so that he can turn on the elevator. But John tells Eddie it's not working, so Eddie tries to climb inside to help. When his body is halfway in, John turns on the elevator and Eddie's body gets sliced in half. John then gets out of the elevator with Jennifer's unconscious body and locks her in the trunk of his car. He then returns to the building to delete the security footage and remove all the evidence. He then sees Eddie's girlfriend and kills her as well. After that, he drives to a deserted area and begins pouring fuel into a dumpster. He intends to burn Jennifer in it, and when he goes to retrieve her body, he realizes that she's already dead. So he decides to burn all her belongings first, but Jennifer gets up and sneaks attacks him from behind. Once he's knocked down, she rushes into the car and drives away, but suddenly she changes her mind and reverses the car to full speed to hit John. John dives into the dumpster and Jennifer crashes into the dumpster instead. She gets out of the car to check on him and discovers that he can't move anymore as he got pierced by a sharp object when he jumped it. She smirks and takes out a cigar, and after taking a puff, she walks towards the car and throws the cigar into the dumpster, burning John in it. Thanks for watching. To support the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button and press the bell icon to get new video updates.